Enteleki, verse 1, chapter 25, gathering around. Let's go, Stegi said softly. She had called them around the fire pit inside their fortification, in full circle around the glowing coals and flickering flames. It was nighttime out there. Under the stars they could see so far without city lights blurring the horizon. But in here, the light came from the hearth. They were gathered around the fire like ancient people telling stories at the dawn of civilization. Except instead of Stone Age man, they were a motley crew of genetically engineered lizards. And the rebuilder robot who built this whole base camp. Even Pera was down there with her wings wrapped around herself protectively. The narrator watched her for a bit, realizing she might be shivering slightly. Then the narrator looked over at Bronto, still standing next to the power station, humming gently. "Bronto!" The narrator called out, getting up to head toward her. She turned just in time for the narrator to wrap his arm around hers and give her side a little rub. "What?" she asked, but the narrator could tell from her voice she liked the attention. The narrator took another step forward until he stood right beside her. So their bodies were pressed together. Then he reached his hand out and placed it on her flank. His sensors scanned along her skin automatically, reading every inch of her body for signs of damage or injury. Nothing unusual popped up except some residual inflammation from yesterday's bite mark. "Better today?" the narrator asked quietly. She nodded. "Much better." "I'm glad," the narrator murmured. Then he leaned in closer until his helmet hovered inches away from her snout. With Bronto, it felt easier because they didn't have to worry too much about height differences since she was tall enough anyway. "How about you take the day off tomorrow?" "Oh!" Her expression softened instantly. "Really? Why?" "You deserve it. And besides..." The narrator let his voice trail off, pretending to think hard about something. "What? What is it?" she asked impatiently. "Well, I thought maybe if I had nothing else to do, I might finally get around to finishing that room for your babies." Now both sides of her mouth twitched upward into the broadest grin yet, revealing even more teeth than usual. "Are you serious? That would be amazing." "Sterison." "So it's a date," the narrator said. "Don't forget. Take care of yourself first. Those eggs won't hatch themselves." I got a laugh from everyone listening in close proximity. Their voices echoed through the cavernous space, reverberating off the walls like applause. But then they all fell silent again, almost immediately, when Stegi cleared her throat deliberately. They turned back towards the fire slowly, letting its warm orange glow fill up the spaces behind their pupils once more. There was definitely something different happening tonight compared to the last couple nights they'd spent together like this. Usually they were talking loud over each other, laughing, debating how many eggs they should put in the incubator at a time. Tonight, nobody seemed interested in making noise at all. Instead, they all just sat there watching Stegi closely for whatever wisdom she wanted to share. "I know this isn't easy for anyone," she began quietly. Even her voice sounded quieter somehow, deeper and gentler than normal. "None of us really knew what we were getting into, did we?" Everyone shook their heads. "That's fine," she continued calmly. We're all doing the best we can. Ah! Her words struck deep inside the narrator suddenly, resonating somewhere way below surface level of emotions. They reminded him of the way Echo always talked. The old Echo, not the broken version who'd run off with his memories wiped clean. It hit home because Steggy wasn't usually like this either. She'd only been speaking this way since becoming a cyborg. 2. Was it possible all that metal was changing her personality somehow? Number. There had to be another explanation. Whatever had happened during her rebirth process clearly affected more than just physical changes. Something deeper was going on here, something none of them fully understood yet. Still sitting cross-legged near the fire, Steggy raised both hands up to show everyone she meant peace, and then slowly lowered them back down onto the dirt floor. In the end, all we've got left are our choices, she whispered, eyes fixed upon his now. So don't be afraid to make wrong ones sometimes. Bah! Enter Leshy. Verse 1, Chapter 26. Steggy shares her stories. Steggy spoke slowly this time, giving them each a chance to digest and process every word. My father was killed protecting my mother. They all fell silent, understanding hitting each of them like a physical blow. It wasn't just the loss itself, but how that trauma had shaped Steggy. For some reason, hearing those words felt harder than seeing it happen. Maybe because they knew how deeply she cared. I saw the whole thing, she continued quietly. He stood up to defend Mama when some predators tried to take me away. Her voice trembled slightly, old pain resurfacing despite decades having passed. But why? Steggy asked softly. Why would he do that? Not because he was a parent. I mean, you weren't born yet. They knew parents were very protective of their children, even if they hadn't met them yet, especially in the case of species like T-Rexes, who protected multiple generations at once. But that didn't explain Steggy's mother. She shouldn't have mattered so much to Steggy's father. I've often wondered. Steggy murmured pensively. Mama always told me Dad loved being with our herd. Loved us so much he wanted to stay forever. A sad smile tugged at the corners of her mouth. Maybe he saw something special in her. Something he could help grow. Oh! Ah! Ah! Like a friendship blossoming into love, Para whispered reverently, her own heart yearning for connection. That might be part of it. But there's also the fact that our alpha died defending our herd from predators. Steggy paused, letting the gravity of that sink in. That day marked me. Showed me how wrong everything seemed without him. She gestured around at their little group with her tail. It got me thinking. We're better together. That's how it should be. There was conviction in her steady gaze. And sometimes, that means stepping aside to let others shine. Bronto shuffled forward, ducking down beside Steggy. But wouldn't that make it harder to see the right choice? True enough, Steggy admitted with a wry smile. I still struggle. But knowing the importance of unity helps me remember to look out for everyone else first. So, essentially, you've learned to put your emotions second so others can feel safer, Echo mused aloud. Exactly. She smiled warmly. Though sometimes it feels a bit backward. I'm acting selfless by focusing on others' feelings instead of my own. Bethesda. It's a beautiful paradox. Rebuilder remarked thoughtfully. In putting others first, you're really serving yourself. There's another important lesson from our past. Steggy added quietly. Something that's helped guide me through many hard times. They leaned closer, eager to hear more wisdom. If something bad happened, she began carefully. And it wasn't fair. Not to me or anyone else. That feeling can sit inside you, growing heavier over years, eating away at peace until it festers into hate. Tears glinted in her eyes as she looked toward the distant horizon, lost in painful memories. But anger alone doesn't solve anything, she said firmly, turning back to face them. Sometimes you need to take responsibility yourself to fight what's eating you up, or you'll drown beneath it. A determined glint entered her stare, tempered with empathy. That sounds lonely. Tara whispered sadly. It can be. Steggy offered a rueful chuckle. There've been nights lying awake wondering if I'd done enough to protect my herd, to heal myself. She shrugged, as though shaking off heavy chains. You'll always wonder, Echo agreed gently. Even when you know you did all you could. Then she turned back to Steggy. How did you find peace? By remembering things that matter most. And reminding myself I'm doing okay. Echo nodded approvingly. It seems you found balance. Mole. Not quite. Steggy countered with a quiet laugh. Peace isn't perfect. Sometimes it feels fragile, held together by tiny threads I can barely see. She glanced at them with a tired yet hopeful expression. But whenever someone steps close, instead of pushing me away, they remind me I'm stronger than the worst parts of memory. Her gaze swept across their little gathering again, lingering longest on Rex. Being here, sharing these stories. Her voice trailed off, too thick with emotion to finish.